All right, so boom, turn me up, don't turn me down. We back at it with another video. Today we got next man up. This was an NHL Playoff brawl for the ages. Now, if you haven't already, go ahead and check out my reaction to this game right here, the Canadiens and the Capitals. It was a very good, entertaining game. The brawl I did react to, it was towards the end of the video. So I know some of y'all in the comments is like, where's the brawl reaction? But it's towards the end of the video. Y'all just keep on watching that one. But let's check this one out right here, man.
Talked about for years. What in the hell was this hockey game? We got an absolute barn burner in Montreal. Several lead changes, 9 goals scored, but yet also some pretty good goaltending. Even if both starting goaltenders were not playing by the end of the night due to injuries, we had the passion, the big hits, and a full-out Bell Center brawl that went onto the bench in one of the craziest playoff games in recent memory, all with the backdrop of that incredible Bell Center atmosphere.
Look at the crowd. Crazy environment. Dang.
Now in this one, right out of the gate, Jack-Eye was in the lineup as he and Wilson went right to yapping. Wilson is certainly being targeted. We saw it last game after Anderson caught Wilson. He then gave him an extra after the fact, as there's a history here. Earlier this season, these two also dropped the mitts, and then, remember this exchange from a few years back? Well, keep these two in mind. But for now, as we got going...
So they already been had history. I'm thinking like it started from this game, but they already went at it in this season, in the regular season, and then a few years ago.
It took just 90 seconds for the boys to get fired up. The very next whistle, well, we got another round, as it seemed like every whistle brought a little extra tonight. But having said that, just over 3 minutes in, and we'd get our first goal of the night. Roy connecting with McMichael, and with his third of the series, the Caps would get the lead quick. But the Habs were buzzing. They outshot the Capitals and did so heavily each period this game, as Thompson had to be solid to start. Montembeault also was solid on the other end, but in the final minute, it's Carrier from the blue line, and he'd score. It goes through traffic to beat LT, and we had ourselves a tied hockey game. But the second is where things went to another level. The Canadiens were just pesky tonight. We got a huge hit on Dowd, then Demidov.
Dang, like he wasn't feeling his hits. He ain't even turn around or nothing. Y'all seen that?
Hockey game. But the second is where things went to another level. The Canadiens were just pesky tonight. We got a huge hit on Dowd, then Demidov tripping up Wilson, as he was certainly targeted throughout the night, just poking the bear. But after a high hit on Savard here, as Duhaime was called for the check to the head, that put the Canadiens on the power play, where they, right off the draw, would make them pay. It's the captain, Suzuki, finding the bouncing puck as he finds the back of the net, and the Habs would take their first lead of the game, which lasted all of 2 minutes, as Jacob Chychrun, wide open with his first of the playoffs, would square things up again. But again, after every whistle, the boys were going at it. Neither team wanting to give an inch, but also noteworthy, going back to the first, Thompson took a stick to the mask as he was slightly shaken up. But then in this period, Thompson took a shot up high to the neck, and this one definitely had him shook. So the Canadiens responded by starting to shoot high on him, I guess testing him out. However, on their own end, it was Montembeault making a stop, who may have tweaked something here, as he would leave the game and did not return. And so now the young Dobish was in. I mean, so many storylines. And just as the second looked over, Gold Caulfield with his second from Hudson would beat Thompson, and they regained the lead. And while you'd think that was it, what's interesting about the Bell Center is the visiting team doesn't have their own tunnel behind their bench, meaning they have to cross the ice to get off, which also means you can get some traffic jams. And sure enough, Dobish coming across, I guess.
You see, that makes sense now. So why isn't there like no tunnel for the opposing team to go back to the locker room?
You can get
They definitely had to make it made it like that on purpose, huh?
Some traffic jams, and sure enough,
Dobish
coming across, I guess, was messed with. So Savard just sticking up for his teammate. But you remember warm-ups? Because Wilson did, and he came back making a beeline for Jack-Eye, which Anderson took issue to, says, "Take me, pal." They'd get to dancing, and what's insane, the door opened up and they wound up on the Capitals bench. The linesman between between them, trying to break it up as it was suddenly absolute chaos. Dubois with Gooley, basically the entire lineup of both teams getting to dancing. I mean, did we get teleported into the 70s? It was old-time hockey, and I was loving it. It took a solid 3 minutes, but the officials finally did get to breaking things up, and this was hilarious. Wow.
Yeah, yo, he's stupid for that. Yeah, that was funny. That right there was funny.
I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry. Honestly, I can say I've never seen anything like we saw tonight. Just crazy. But the insanity of this game wasn't over yet. It was a 2 and a 10 for both Wilson and Anderson to start, but 2.5 minutes into the third, who else but the great 8 from Strome for his third would tie this hockey game up again. But just a minute later now, and it's Dvorak scoring, throwing one on net. It goes off to Haim in front, and now we had a 4-3 hockey game as Montreal was buzzing again. They regained the momentum. They were firing everything on net, and then Slavkovsky with Caulfield to Slavkovsky, and they score another. But in the process, Strome went hard into Thompson, absolutely destroyed his own goaltender, but worst, it's actually his left leg that got the worst of it, and this did...
Dang, that's what took him out the game.
Goaltender, but worst, it's actually his left leg that got the worst of it, and this did not look good at all. Seemingly couldn't put weight on it as he now had to leave the game.
Prayers up, hopefully everything goes.
Brutal night for the Capitals. And after Chychrun would then take a cross-checking penalty to send Montreal once again to the power play, they once again would add another. It's the cherry on top, Newhook with his first of the playoffs to make it a 6-3 hockey game, and to a choir of Olays, the Montreal Canadiens
win 6-3.
would take game 3.
And this was a good, entertaining game.
Very, very interesting. And game 4 in Montreal is not going to be any easier on the Capitals. This barn is wild, so it should be a good one. But that's about it for this one. Thank you guys for watching. As always.
Yeah, man, yo, that fight was insane, though. I didn't even realize the opposing team didn't have like a locker room to go back to. They had to like cross to the other side to get there. But yeah, this whole game was entertaining. Everything about this was entertaining. I feel like game 4 is just gonna be insane, man. Like, just imagine the Canadiens win, which I honestly feel like they could win. They could win game 4. I could definitely see it happening. You know, emotions is obviously gonna be high from what happened in game 3. You know, the Capitals, they gonna want to get their, get back, want to get their revenge. We're just gonna have to wait and see what happens, man. But hopefully I enjoyed my reaction to this video right here. Like, comment, share, subscribe to my channel if you're new. And I'm gonna catch y'all on the next one, man.